Hawkins Scale 300 to 400. Hello, this is Chris speaking, Shores of Infinity, with another video on the Hawkins Scale 100 per 100. This time 300 to 400. There are already 3 videos of the previous 300 calibration partitions. Okay, what is 300 to 400 about? 300, 310 he calls willingness, 350 he calls acceptance, and 400 he calls reason. But what does this mean? It's so mean. 310 is, for David Hawkins, the gateway to higher levels. I cannot fully agree. I think 400 is the gateway to higher levels. But what did he mean with it? It means overcoming inner resistance, to be open to do something new, or to let something new happen to you. Usually people resist like hell to change something in their lives. Eating habits, for example. Most people rather die than to stop eating cheese, for example, or chocolate. And this kind of resistance you find everywhere in all parts of life. And around 310, this diminishes. Also, following on the 200 to 300, where I said it's mostly about self-confidence, here this self-confidence and self-esteem gets even higher, which again is for me a great potential for danger of bypassing and megalomania. If you're between 200 and 400, you're not very far ahead. Of course, you could say, yeah, if the average of humanity is at 2.5 and you're at, for example, 395, then your consciousness is almost twice as high. You could reason like that, but that's not how it works. Anything that feeds this feeling of being superior somehow invariably leads to bypassing, not to awakening. Remember, the level of pride is just below 200. So be careful that you don't crash back there. Then 350, acceptance. What does that mean? Partly it means growing up. It's the first step of becoming a human adult in the Jed McKenna sense. You accept responsibility for your life and stop blaming others or external circumstances. You're going from victim mode into Action Jackson mode. There's a very strong urge to find out what enlightenment really is now. You can smell it. You're really close. And you want it.
You've got the poison, I've got the remedy. You've got the poison and I've got the remedy.
The tricky thing is, of course, that you know by now that you're very different than most people, and you can't go back and you can't go forward. You have to let go. That's it. When you arrive at 400, you have to let go, or you can't go any further. Until 400, you can even get without any spiritual stuff. You can get there by religious means or scientific means. And many women, in my experience, are there anyway, quite naturally, or can get there more quickly. But to let go then at 400 is difficult. Because in spiral dynamics terms, you enjoy the knowledge of yellow or the intuitive peace of turquoise. But you don't want to go into the hell of coral. That's why most people can't get further than 399. Because at some point it's not about self-discipline anymore. At some point it's about surrender. And again, just as we have seen with 200 to 300, it's the same or similar with 300 to 400. Lots of self-styled gurus in the spiritual marketplace are here. They're not even awake, so to say. They're just before awakening, and they had awakening peak experiences, or even enlightenment peak experiences, short ones or drug-induced ones. but they stayed at 300 to 400, usually, often, quite often, just before, like between 350 and 399. You finally got a grip on yourself and on life, and things start working out and moving, and you're not a victim anymore, you're not full of pain and grief anymore, and now you gotta let go.
No.
Yes.
Because awakening means to realize that you are not your personality. So between 200 and 400, what you're doing is building up your personality development, the big thing nowadays, where the big bucks are. And that is, of course, another problem for many teachers, gurus, coaches, speakers. Once they reach 400 or even cross into the 400s, they face a problem, because they made a lot of money and fame and were very successful up to now with selling self-confidence and personality development courses. But once awakening happens, which is usually after 400 or around 400, and you see that this is all bullshit, or at least it's only preparation. It's probably a necessary step of preparation, but it's not the goal. So once you cross the 400, you basically have to stop offering these personality development courses to remain authentic. And that's why so many coaches cannot stay in above 400, and they always fall back into the 300s because they don't want to stop teaching what they have been so successful in teaching. And now and then they take some time off, they go into a retreat, or I don't know, a Wim Hof course, or a silence retreat, or alone in nature for 2 weeks, some crazy trekking or whatever, and then they come back and they think, okay, I'm going to change everything. And 2 weeks later, nothing has changed. They're back in their old track. So in my experience, watching others, it's mostly a financial thing. Yeah, in the 300s, there is the possibility to become financially successful. But in the 400s, when you go through this awakening time and choral time, usually there's no space for financial success for some time at least. So this seems to be a big hurdle. Also, you feel powerful and energetic and awake and wise and so on, while with awakening choral experience, all this drops away and you feel insignificant and that you know nothing. So most people on the verge of the 400 and 400s, they shy away from that. They pull back and think, okay, that can't be a way further. I'm probably dropping back. And this is a misinterpretation, of course. The way forward is to stop taking your personality seriously, which for some weird reason David Hawkins calls reason, but we will talk about this in the next video in the 400 to 500s. So thank you for liking and subscribing. Thank you to all my patrons. Thank you for joining me as a Patreon. It keeps the channel afloat. And thank you in particular to all those patrons who are already supporting the channel: Alan, Sam, Patrick, Brittany, Chris, Enda, Raghu, Thomas, Marcus, Alex, Tyler, Alex, Gregory, Goshen, Kelly, Patricia, Mark, Björn, Brian, Robert, Matthias, Carrie, Daniel, Gabriel, Kim, Rubina, Tamash, Chris, Andre, Ofi, Cyan, Bob, Feike, and Morgan. Thank you.